This original WSRE presentation is made possible by viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Ramika Vincent Leary and welcome to this edition of Pensacola State Today. Career and technical education career fields are in high demand, and the path to fulfilling a wide variety of programs that fall under this umbrella has just gotten brighter. This is due to a substantial grant the college received from Governor DeSantis's Emergency Education Relief Fund. It provides money for scholarships and much more. To discuss this exciting news, I'm happy to welcome Dr. Debbie Duma, Dean of Grants and Federal Programs. How are you today?
Good morning, Ramika. Thank you for having me to talk about this today.
Listen, free money. I'm in, okay? That's all I have to say. So we're dealing with over $700,000, but there are three specific areas or allocations. Will you tell us about those?
Sure. A large portion of the money, about $500,000, is going to some very large equipment that it enables the college to allow the students to work on equipment that is very close to what they're going to be using when they're actually out in the field. So they're ready. When they finish the program here, they are ready to go right to work. And it's, as you can imagine, the technology, trying to keep up with that technology. And then also simulation. That's a huge part of what goes on is allowing, especially during the COVID, the pandemic, allowing students to get training in a safe manner. So like the truck driving simulators.
Right. I remember when I was in high school, before I took the driver's exam, we had these simulators, but these are larger vehicles, aren't they?
They're larger vehicles, and I have a feeling, I went to high school a really long time ago, and those were pretty clunky things. These are very high tech and very expensive.
Another thing that we want to talk about, and we're going to talk about some of the other funding that's available in just a moment, but we have situations where people have EKG issues, so we have money that it's being spent toward equipment in that area. Yeah. Then we also think about hard shell chest compression systems that paramedics and emergency medical technicians would use.
Yeah, there's all kinds of simulation equipment for both healthcare programs and for things like our advanced manufacturing. I think that program, one of the pieces of equipment that program is getting is an advanced fiber laser cutting machine.
What would happen in a scenario like that? Advanced fiber cutting laser machine.
It's used for fabrication, programming, and machinist classes. So again, they're having the opportunity to work on a very expensive piece of equipment that they're going to find when they get out into the workforce.
So $500,000 is a huge amount of money that we are on the receiving end of here at Pensacola State College. Yeah. Couldn't be happier. Let's talk about scholarships, $105,000 allocated for those.
And the nice thing about these scholarships is a lot of these short-term programs, which this grant is supposed to be for in particular, don't even qualify for Pell, even if the student is eligible for Pell, because they're too short. But in the circumstances of this grant, not only does the program not have to qualify for Pell, but neither does the student. So if there's some reason that the student is not, has not even applied for the FAFSA, they don't have to have gone through that paperwork, and they could still possibly be eligible for these scholarship dollars.
That's a key piece of information. A student who hasn't applied for that free application for federal student aid, they might say, okay, let me get into one of these short-term CTE programs. I might be only taking one class at a time. And that is compelling because we know with COVID there have been so many changes, haven't there, Debbie?
Yes. And when students have got issues with maybe their own children and their schooling or transportation issues, this is just helpful.
Let's highlight some of these 16 areas, and there are several, and we'll definitely be sharing those a little bit later on in the program. Commercial vehicle driving. Think about all of the packages that are being transported, food, other elements. So expand on that, if you will.
Well, I think one of the reasons that these programs that are eligible are good is they're kind of disaster proof. You know, whether it's a pandemic or a hurricane, we're always going to need the truck drivers. We're always going to need, you know, the advanced manufacturing, the healthcare professions that these grant dollars are helping to support. So this is an opportunity for individuals that maybe have lost their employment because of the pandemic or even the recent hurricane that we had, can get training to start a new career. This could be the entry to a whole new career pathway for them.
Absolutely, that light at the end of the tunnel. Engineering technology support specialists, that's another area we think about. Infant toddler specialization, especially now during COVID, where a lot of parents might be on the job, or let's flip the coin here, where we had many students that were taking Zoom classes at home, and they were also watching their children while they were working from home at the same time. So infant toddler specialization is one that really jumps out to me because we have so many little ones that need that extra TLC, don't we?
Well, and those preschool and childcare workers, I believe, are considered essential. Without them doing what they're doing, everybody else can't get to work when they've got those children at home.
You're absolutely right. Medical assisting. There are so many people with medical issues, and somebody can come in right now, short-term CTE program, and get the certification they need for that. We have other areas such as nursing assistant, medical information coder, biller, for example. So with those areas, why is there such an urgent need right now for people to jump into these specializations?
Well, obviously there's a need in our community. I think we've all seen the news reports of the overworked healthcare workers, and I think the fact that they can get into these positions quickly with short-term training is just a bonus. And then it's a career pathway. You know, they may start out as an EKG technician, but eventually want to become an RN. This helps them get started.
And I also think about the mothers out there, additionally, preschool specialization. When COVID hit and the moms had little kids and were trying to figure out, how should I care for this little one? Or is there anyone that can look after my young child? So why is this also very important at a time as such?
Well, I think it's just that the child care workers are essential. If you've got a family, you can't go do your job if we don't have the child care workers to help take care of the children. So that's always going to be an essential
hand in
position.
hand.
Yeah.
Now there's a third area covered by this grant money. Let's talk about that.
Well, you mentioned that what they're doing is earning certifications.
Yes.
Those certifications can be very expensive, and we realize that. And so another large chunk of this grant funding is going to reimbursing students for those industry certifications. Once they take the exam, say the CDL, they pass that CDL, they can then apply back to the college and we can reimburse them for those funds that they have spent to get that. So that's just another advantage for the students.
And yet another layer added. What about textbook loans and laptop loans? Those are two key areas for many students.
They are, and those are additional services and resources for the students that just once they get involved with our CTE program, they're not tied to this particular grant, but they're tied to the CTE program. And those are resources that are available to those students.
I'm excited for anyone out there that's thinking about enrolling in these career and technical education programs. Now, Debbie, who heads up the area and who is responsible for receiving emails or telephone calls when it comes to anyone interested in applying?
That's Deborah Hook. She's the director of our CTE Resources program at the college. And I believe you're giving her contact information.
Oh, yes. We will have that up a lot.
Yes. And actually, anyone in her office will be able to help. When somebody calls in, they just need to say they're interested in a CTE program and a scholarship, and she'll make sure that whoever answers the phone is able to assist them.
And on that high note, folks, we would like to share with you now a special 30-second CTE spot. Take a look.
Looking to start a career or even change your current career? Now is the time to act at Pensacola State College. PSC is awarding $105,000 in scholarships for career and technical education programs this spring semester. Choose from 16 short-term, high-demand certificate programs, including commercial vehicle driving, CNC machinist fabricator, emergency medical technician, phlebotomy, and practical nursing. These programs can be completed in 10 weeks to a semester. Apply today.
That was a phenomenal spot. Don't you agree, Debbie?
Yes, thank you.
So we have people out there who are watching this program and they're scratching their heads wondering whether or not they should apply for these scholarships. To me, it's a no-brainer, right?
Yes. Yes, because there's so many resources that are available that maybe this particular scholarship isn't the right fit. We're going to find something else that will be helpful. If they're not even sure what they maybe want to do or be, we even have some career exploration tools that we can help with. So there's lots of resources out there. These scholarship dollars that we want to get out to the students, especially for the spring term, that's important, but I want to make sure everybody knows that there's so much more available.
Right, so if someone contacts Deborah Hooks,
Yes.
they could also find out additional information
Yes,
to
ma'am.
help them in their journey. So speaking of journeys, I always like a success story. Can you think of a success story, maybe a short one that you would like to share, maybe anyone that you know of who has actually fulfilled one of these 16 areas?
Well, I know that we did have a student not too long ago that she actually started in our the CNA program. Do you know that not too long ago she finished her BSN? And she was at PSC through the entire program, and I think it just shows that the resources are available. This was a single mom that had small children at home. We made sure that she had all the resources she needed so she could work through all those programs and achieve the economic self-sufficiency she needed for her family.
In a situation like hers, do you ever have people come back and serve as mentors to people in some of these 16 areas?
This particular person has received, I think, also some scholarships from our foundation, which is another resource for students, and she definitely has come out and spoken on their behalf and thanked everyone that has helped her, which is just it's a nice story.
It is, and your position at the college, you do so much for us as a grant writer. Why don't you tell us a little bit of a snippet about what you do to help us secure a lot of the grant funding here?
Our office is responsible for all of the applications for any of the large grants for the institution. So that includes our TRIO programs, which are other student resources. We have veterans programs. So we write the grants, we help manage them, we make sure they spend the money.
Yes,
once
spend
we
the
get
money.
And then we help, these programs include a lot of data collection. Our funding agencies want to know, so we gave you that money, what have you done with it? So we have to report back to them. So we spend a lot of our time doing that too.
We appreciate everything that you are doing for the college, and trust me, everyone should apply for the CTE scholarships. Please do. Right, Debbie?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Folks, as we head to break, we want to provide you with a visual representation of the 16 career and technical education programs that are impacted by the Governor's Emergency Education Relief Fund, including information about how to apply for a scholarship. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this. Hello, everyone. During this segment, we're shifting gears, focusing on other career and technical education programs that are quite popular as we get ready to head into yet another semester. To expand on this, we're happy to welcome Michael Listow, Director of Workforce Education. Now, Michael, I'm always excited to hear about demanding career fields that are providing great workforce opportunities for our students. I know that you are too.
Absolutely.
So we have these other programs, right? And we're just going to start sharing. I'm thinking about engineering technology, advanced manufacturing. For those out there who are watching that may not really be familiar with it, can you share some specifics?
Sure. And to share kind of a personal story too, I come from the engineering field, so that is selfishly one of the areas that is very near and dear to my heart. But it really is an exciting time because advanced manufacturing truly means advancing the manufacturing process. So traditional engineering, as we think of it, it's you think back through history and assembly lines and how processes and parts are put together. With the advanced manufacturing concept, it truly is, how do we make that process better? How do we advance it? How do we make it more efficient? How do we make it for less cost? So it's really an exciting time, and really it's through the emerging technology that allows us to expand the industry.
That's phenomenal. Another facet of engineering technology, of course, is mechanical design and fabrication. I know that Debbie touched a little bit on it, but what are your thoughts or views regarding that?
So if you think with mechanical design and fabrication, think of all the mechanical components that are in the world and the maintenance on those parts that needs to occur. There's so many different career fields and job opportunities in that discipline. I believe that Debbie talked about some of the technology as well, and one of the big pieces of equipment that we are very excited to get is a fiber laser. That laser is actually a new process that is really emerging in industry, and students will actually have the opportunity to work on that machine before even some of our industry partners have the capabilities of equipping themselves with the machine. So again, there's countless potential in our program and in that discipline.
That's fascinating. So with the fiber laser, I'm just thinking about all the things that could be done with that. What could be the end result of having worked with a fiber laser?
So fiber laser is really a technology that is I don't want to say replacing, but it's a new technology that does a lot of the same processes that plasma cutting accomplishes. So you have a metal piece of stock that will actually cut out various patterns and shapes that you can automate. So again, that it makes it, from somebody that's doing it by hand, you now have a machine that can do it much faster and it can do it much easier. And again, with the mechanical design and the advanced manufacturing concepts, so people's jobs are changing, because rather than doing it by hand and physically cutting out these pieces and parts by hand, now they're learning to operate the machines that do the work for them, essentially.
That's phenomenal. There are so many other areas, welding, for example. I actually know a few welders myself who've worked on bridges and other projects. Why is our welding program here at PSC is just on fire?
So welding has been one of our successful programs. One of the things that we're doing right now too is we are offering welding on multiple campus locations, and one of the campus and center locations, because we recently started the program again in Century.
Good.
But like you said, there's countless job opportunities, and I mean it's I think having the flexible options for people to take the welding program either during the day or at night has really helped with the success. But at the same time, we have a phenomenal group of instructors that are really ensuring that students, after they complete the program, are qualified to get jobs. And the main thing with that, and really all the programs that I oversee, is these jobs can be, or many of these certifications and degrees can be earned in a short time frame, and in some cases a year or less, that will put people to work. And again, people with the current situation with the pandemic and just the
Yes.
hardship we're all facing, this is a potential avenue for them to restart their lives and really help them and their families.
I just thought of something, and I'm curious, have you ever had a student, i.e., for example, welding, come back and teach at the college? We
have actually. And thinking to our current, our instructor that's teaching at Century is a product of our welding program. And I mean, that helps, I think, on numerous levels. You know, they obviously they have a better understanding of the program, but at the same time they have the ability to connect with students because they were the student.
Yes.
And if you think, you know, it's the saying, you know, you walk the walk, talk the
Product
talk.
of the environment.
Right. I mean, that's extremely important, and it's a very good benefit.
Heating and air conditioning, HVAC. Now, I lived in South Carolina once upon a time. It got hot there. It gets hot here. That's a popular area as well.
And that's absolutely any of those trade programs. You know, they're the types of programs that are essential, and it's never going to go away. And when you're talking about HVAC, we live in Florida,
Yes,
and,
we
and
do.
and think of just, you know, when somebody's system at home goes out, how you know, necessary and just urgent it is to get that repaired. You know, it could be from somebody that may be elderly, that has health conditions, that, you know, you don't want them sitting in the hot house. But yes, absolutely an essential field that, I mean, again, there's always going to be jobs.
So are you a foodie, perchance? Just curious.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's talk culinary, okay? The Molly McGuire Culinary Arts Endowed Scholarship. And I want you to take your time with this, because right now we know that scholarship was established back in 2015, but it is the 6th largest endowed scholarship that we have right now at PSC.
It's pretty phenomenal,
It
isn't
is.
it? And back to your question, my wife and I, who also works at the college, we frequent the culinary dinners and lunches, and that is something that is open to the community as well, that people can actually come to our campus and can take advantage of having really a phenomenal meal at a very low price. But back to the scholarship, I've worked with countless students and recipients of the scholarship that really it's changed their life, and it's turned their life around, and it would not be possible unless there was the generosity that the scholarship does provide.
And something interesting about it, that the culinary arts students do a lot in the community, don't they, as far as helping others. And it's always nice to hear stories about that. And then you found out about a nice gesture, someone told you. These are the types of things that our students do. They're always giving back. And I just love those stories, Mike.
Absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned that, because I was actually, we were just through our awarding process where we were actually awarding scholarships to students. And part of what we do is we go through a committee process, and the student has to share their story. And I was actually thinking back to a student in particular that I was reading his story and just talking about how he worked in the various restaurants in Pensacola. And although, you know, you might be at a restaurant that we'll say is competing with another restaurant. In his story, he said it's really not like that in Pensacola. As everybody in the industry works
Family.
together, and it's like a family.
I love stories like that. Speaking of family, community partnerships, we have so many with businesses in the area, not only in the state of Florida, am I right?
That's right. With recently too, with our commercial vehicle driving program, our truck driving program, That program was started really because it's not just a state need that we need to have truck drivers, but it's nationally. It's nationally that there is a shortage right now on people that can deliver packages, that can deliver essential items such as food to the various grocery stores. So really all of these programs that I oversee come from that need, not just across the state or in our region, but nationally.
These partnerships, are there any businesses that you could name specifically, perchance?
One of the main hubs that we have is we are affiliated with the Northwest Florida Manufacturing Council, and really the nice thing about that is that actually opens up our it's kind of the umbrella organization to various businesses.
Good.
So there actually have been different companies here locally, really in the manufacturing sector and across all disciplines, that we've been able to connect with the instructors and as well as the students to allow students to move into job opportunities. Because really that is the whole point of these programs, is not only to complete the program, but to go out and get a job that is high skill, high wage, and is high demand.
So have you ever had someone graduate from one of these programs, start that business, it's successful, and then they reach back to help our students? Any examples of that?
So welding is one
Right,
of
that you
those,
mentioned.
and one student that I think about, he literally kind of outfitted a welding shop in his pickup truck.
Really?
And kind of hit the road and was just doing jobs. And I mean, he was so successful. He was earning over $100,000 with kind of a company that he started. But that's a success story that we share frequently. At the same time, the instructors and in these programs in general, what I'll say kind of differentiates them from traditional academic programs is these students are with each other all day. Often Monday through Thursday or Monday through Friday, but you get to know the students and they get to know each other. And I mean, the instructors as well as the students kind of form lifelong friendships in these programs.
So the greatest satisfaction that you get every day when you walk into the office, what would that be?
I really just like, seeing the success stories and hearing the success stories. I mean, and that's something too, in my own life, I went through these programs, and little did I know that I would be in my position, as an administrator for the college. But that's the potential anybody in our program has. And your question actually reminded me of another story. We even had in our truck driving program, we had a mother and son that went through it together. And it's funny because the mother actually had to get after the son to kind of motivate him to finish the program, but he did. And again, I mean, these are the types of stories that make showing up to work, for me, every day worth it.
I tell you, my heart is full. It is always a pleasure to have you on the show, Mike. I know I'm inspired. Sign up for the programs, right? Sign up for the programs. So everyone, we just want to say it's been such a rewarding show, and I'd like to thank all of our guests for joining us. Now, as a final reminder, to apply for our Career and Technical Education Scholarships, take another look at the information that is being displayed right now on your screen. I'm Ramika Vincent Leary. Thanks for watching, and remember to keep it locked in right here on WSRE, PBS for the Gulf Coast.